Hey, everybody. Let's see here. Make sure I have everything rolling. Cool. Alrighty. I think we're there. Cool. Okay. So, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today, and lots going on. And really, what I wanted to do, kind of give you an overview of where we are on the campaign. And let me actually bring that up right now. Oops. All right. So where are we at on the campaign? So one really cool thing is we're currently sitting at 78%, which is about $2,700, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're also about 30 days out from, so that's halfway through the campaign, which is really cool. Now, that also gets into where we are in terms of with the campaign, that we had basically, if you remember, at the beginning of the campaign, we started out at, if you remember, what was our current goal is 3,427. At the beginning of the campaign, you'll probably remember we started out at, again, that 7,200. So really what I wanted this live stream to be about and this Thursday to be about is to add a little bit more clarity to that. Why we moved, why we changed, and some of the things about that. And I wanted to be as transparent as I absolutely can. And really this whole thing from the comic book to Last Colony to other projects that I have going on, and I say we in the sense of Tikva, have going on, that it's more about education to me, and not, it's, yes, this is about funding a really fun and cool project of the Last Colony, but in a lot of ways it's much bigger than that, because I want this to be something that can be shared across many different forms, if that makes sense. Not just the comic book or the graphic novel, but also helping others learn and take risks in our own lives, and in the big scope of things of lifting each other up, right? And also finding ways to directly connect to one another. And yes, the internet's an amazing thing, and amazing possibilities, and exciting things. And we really just wanted to add a as real of a way to connect with you guys directly, because we're all about those ideas of how can we, and I mean, yes, through the internet in terms of that connection, but I mean it in a greater sense of how can we bring each other together and find that real authentic way of lifting the whole ship up, right? And so that's really what this is about. So with that being said, one of the things that we sought out to do is that we wanted to find a way, because we could, like I said in the past, we could do this whole crowdfund thing on, there's a lot of different platforms. You have your Kickstarter, your Indiegogo, so on and so forth. And we were actually, at the time last year, I think I've mentioned this several times, and I think it's important to mention again, that we had put this on, we were going to move to Indiegogo, and then of course the CUFIDs happens and all those sort of things. And it seemed appropriate that this was the time or the opportunity to go for it. And so we moved to our own platform, and here we are. I think sometime at the end of March, we started our own platform and started moving in that direction. One of the things about like your Indiegogo Kickstarter is that once you set that amount, whatever that amount is, and if you don't reach that amount, now there's obviously certain options that you can do. And I've said in the past, those platforms are excellent options for those out there. We just had the funds and the opportunity to go for this, okay, and make it our own platform. And we had, with those other platforms, you basically, you can do two options. One is you can set a goal amount. If you reach that goal amount, you're good to go. If you don't, then no one's the wiser and nothing happens. And the other is that, well, that kind of put it in a spot that we wanted to have the most ability and freedom. And by backing a project like this, kind of our idea is that you're not just backing in the project, you're backing this entire crazy idea of, again, connecting with one another. And instead of, and yes, the comic book stores are an excellent place to go, but I have a huge hole of an opinion of, which we won't necessarily go into today, with like your Marvel, DC. Yes, we like our old Marvel and DC characters, but there's things that have happened over these past couple of years, from the Game of Thrones to other IPs, I guess, Star Wars, Star Trek, name them. And it's just, what in the world's happening, right? And there were certainly sort of pockets of awesome moments. You have like your Luke Skywalker coming back in The Mandalorian, and fun things like that, that get back to the core of what stories are really about. It's not about preaching or all these types of things, but it's about an escape to a larger sense of who we are and what our ultimately potential could be. Just like your Lord of the Rings, all these sort of things. The smallest person can change the course of history and time and all those types of things. And that's certainly what at a core value of what we're about and what we want to be about, right? So with all of that, one of the things that we did is that we started the crowdfunding 30 days ago, I guess at the beginning of May, right? And sometime in there, I don't remember. It's so long ago. May 6th? Did we start at May 6th? Somewhere in there. And we started the crowdfunding for the Last Colony, and we started at the $7,225, $50, I think, mark is where we were. And one of the things that we did really well at is we made an excellent expense sheet. And when you go into like, and I know it's like all these other things of like, we're talking about, this is for those that are really starting this out and making their own business. Starting out with like your expense sheet or your budget or your plan is a huge deal, because a lot of times when things happen in life or business or otherwise, crazy things happen, and you still need to maintain the initiative to keep moving forward, right? And that's kind of always the challenge. And so we started out at that $7K mark, and we felt really good about it because we went through our budget. And of course, when you're looking at a budget, you have your printing costs, your shipping, the kitsch, which is like your stickers, bookmarks, whatever, those types of things. You also have the supplies. So we built in it within it so that we could buy supplies for our next project, or that next phase of that project of the Last Colony. Also taxes. And then we also built in like a 20% buffer. And each one of those, like your printing, that takes 1/3 of the costs. Shipping, that takes almost close to $1,000. Shipping's terrible these days. Absolutely horrible. Shipping's really bad. And then of course, if you're shipping across the globe, which we also pivoted to do, which is the ability, when we made our own platform, just the ability to move in different directions and change our strategy up a little bit. Just that freedom to be able to do that was so huge. So also the kitsch, it doesn't take a whole lot of money to do the kitsch, which certainly the poster that we'll be working on, and I'll show you a little bit where we are with that. For everybody that has backed it, originally I said that for everybody that has backed it, if we reach that 7,000 mark, we'll get this poster, and this poster will go out and everyone will get it in their little package along with their comic book if you contribute of $30 or more, right? And it's going to be, like your 6x9 size comic book size, right? Well, because one of the things that we did, and I'm so glad we had an excellent budget set up that's scalable as need be. That was the other big thing, huge thing that we did, huge success that we did. And I thought I had done a quality audit. I went back through, and what I mean by audit in terms of my audience, the audience from like my email list to Instagram to other things. And I went through that audit and I thought I had that number, which was like that 7,000, right? And I went through and was like, oh no, I did a much more honest, authentic kind of view of that audit. And I realized that that number was much closer to the 3,400, which is what it is now. So we decided, because we wanted that. It's so important in this game of what we're playing in terms of producing comics, being an independent comic creator. It takes a lot of effort, and there's certainly, for everybody that has already backed it and participated, it's a huge deal. And I can't thank you enough in terms of doing that. And for those that have just shared the project or other means, or it's not just monetary, it's much bigger than that. We realized that with that, I guess that market audit would be a more a business term for it, but basically our audience audit, we had basically thought and realized through that audit, oh no, we needed to be at this number and this would be more authentic. And again, we wanted that idea of success. So now that we've moved it back to that $3,400 mark, do we all get the poster? Yes, I am still holding true to that. So just because I'm, we make mistakes or we don't see or understand all the information that we're getting. And like we said, we pivot and we change it because we all want this to be a success. I think that's the huge thing. And so if you've given $30 and up to the fund, which I should put that up actually. Let me put that up. So there's the web address for that. So if you do contribute to, and for everybody that has contributed, can I say that word? Contributed $30 or more, you will be getting this poster. I still will be printing that off. And you will be getting that in your package and all that sort of stuff when we go through the printing, which we're still expecting that August timeframe. The other thing is that when you are participating in the crowdfund, instead of waiting for the end of the crowdfund, which is when your credit card, like your Indiegogo or Kickstarter, your credit card isn't charged until later on in the process of when the project is either fully funded or it reaches its end date and time, right? And so that was another sort of thing that, I'm sure some of you have already noticed that have backed it. When you put your money down, you are getting charged, and we have that put back into a savings account. So it's already ready to go so that we're not nickeling and diming ourselves and all those kind of other nonsense. So we have our own business account along with our own business savings account, right? And so that just gives us a way so that, for example, one of the things that came up, and as this year has gone on, I'm sure you've seen like your toilet paper apocalypse and all that sort of stuff that took place last year, or we've seen some of our boxes in our cereal boxes and whatever. Everything seems to be getting smaller, right? Not to mention, I guess today, sort of a side subject, I guess, in part. Was it Russia announced they were dropping the dollar altogether, and that within a month they're going to be leaving the dollar. There's a lot of nuances that I don't know about, or those sort of things that, we live in a crazy world. And I guess that's my point here, right? And so with that, and with all those things, I have been watching the supplies, for example, like the Mylar sheets I want to ship everything in, or the backing, so everything's nice and neat and nicely packaged for you guys. I want to make sure I had those. Well, the company we were going to buy those through, suddenly there was one particular one that it wasn't going to ship out till like September. And it was just like, oh no, we can't do that. Well, I found another place and we're able to purchase that. And so I already bought all that up so that we have that right amount. It was within our expense sheet or our budget of the 3,400. And so we already have those supplies, and they actually shipped in and came in like Thursday. Thursday's today. Where are we at? Tuesday. It came in Tuesday. So all that sort of stuff came in. So this is why it's so important that why we went with the plan that we went with, right? To do our own platform that we can easily pivot or change these types of things. And so hopefully that makes sense to you. And I again, for everybody that's here and hanging out, you guys are awesome. You guys are the lifeblood to this. Again, whether you can contribute monetarily or not, or whatever level you can do, or even just sharing this far and wide, it really does mean a lot. And it goes back to the core value of this entire thing of, yes, the big box stores, they're certainly convenient and you'd fit your DC and Marvel into those things, Disney, etc. There are those big box stores. And this is about an effort of getting back to the basics, back to who we are, back to the stories that are quality. I'm the person that wants to geek out in terms of the artwork and how to do the artwork and developing my drawing skills, that it's well enough so that you guys, the participants, are happy with that end product. If you guys aren't happy with it, then I didn't do my job. That's such a huge thing in this day and age, which it shouldn't be. Like, we should be able to go through and enjoy a movie and not feel like, oh, this isn't what I came to watch or participate in. Star Wars is an excellent example of that, of like the Force Awakens. It was just a remake of the original Star Wars. I know I want to like it. But we missed opportunities, right? For example, in that one, where like, how can you not bring Luke, Leia, and Han Solo in the same scene? What? Oh, what a missed opportunity. So anyway, I digress. So I wanted to go over those kind of concepts with you, with where we are with this project, what we've learned, and why we moved it to the 3K mark, and how we are so incredibly close. Let me look at it. Get a live view of it. Yeah. So we're currently sitting at, there we are. $725 away from reaching our goal, which is absolutely fantastic and amazing. And for our very first crowdfund, for our very first time doing all of this, yes, we had the right mindset, and I think that's such a huge thing. We're so close, and what a fantastic number. But that also means, if you've already given and you want a little bit, do another $30 one or whatever it might be to help get us there. Because it's not just about getting us here or me, or it's much bigger than that. And it's about showing that our little ideas can do amazing things. So that's just kind of the bit of the background behind it. And I just thank you and I'll just read the first names to Jason, to Daniel. Actually, I would say Daniel's last name, Dan Ekis. We're actually going to have him next week. So mark your calendars, all that sort of fun stuff. Next week, we'll actually have him on the live stream. Dan will join us, and we're going to hang out and do our artwork and talk about all sorts of things and industry and all that sort of stuff. So Dan Ekis, thank you. Ali, Amanda, Mark, Jeff, Brett, Carol, Ted. We got Becca. We got another Amanda, Evan, Chris, Jared, James, Mohammed. We got Ryan, Natalia, Stephen, Orrin, Samuel, Catherine, Joshua, Maxim. Let's see here. We got Leora, Sean, Amy, Chris, Brendan, and Ezra. Here we go. Oh, Brendan. Sorry, Brendan. Braden. Oh, gosh. Super nervous. I'm super excited. That's really what this is about. You guys are all amazing who have backed this. And what's that put us at? What number? How many people have? 41. So cool. So 41 people. And that's again, that's so awesome. And this gives us so many more opportunities, because the other thing is that we built within the budget of not only about 20% buffer, so that in case other things happen, again, things outside of our control, which this world is way out of control. And so we have a bit of that buffer in there, and that also whatever funds there, that, will ultimately go into the next project. And so this will propel us. So a huge thank you to everybody participating in that. So yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, R2D2 for life. You're amazing. You're cool. Really appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing all that sort of stuff. You're cool. Let's see here. Yeah, great thing about indie comics is that people who buy them genuinely care and want to see them succeed. No doubt about it. And that's such a, I don't know. It's such a grassroots thing that like little people like us can somehow make it all happen and get it all figured out and make a path, which is way cool. Way cool. Oh, you bet, man. So I think the next thing that I wanted to do is I worked on, I have several journals that just kind of keep me all on track. So that was my idea journal. So I have an idea journal. I have like a calendar. So that's the other thing. I'm working on so many other projects that trying to make things happen and really help other people grow and achieve their dreams and that sort of thing too. Because that's the idea of what it's not our idea. We're actually borrowing, if you want to put it that way. The idea of hope which is the word in Hebrew is tikva. It is, which you can say tikva. That's okay too. But the proper pronunciation is that idea that hope takes action. It's not something you dream in and just, it requires all of us participating, which is the cool part. So let's switch gears here. And kind of my idea was to just hang out for an hour to an hour and a half. So, and I think this time works out a little bit better. You guys let me know. Instead of doing it at 6 o'clock, we moved it up to this 4 o'clock time. Just seemed to work out better, a little bit better for my family anyway. And then certainly with Dan Ekus, who we'll have next week, it worked out great for him too. And we're going to be starting that live stream out at 3:45. I'll do kind of some introduction sort of stuff and that sort of thing, and then we'll jump right into it with Dan. Let's see what we got here. This is there we go. So I'm a little bit further. I'll kind of show you some of my progression. Let me get organized here. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'll just kind of walk through some of where I've been, and this is kind of in the rough stage. Is basically what I would call this. This is just getting out of the rough stage where you're starting to have a bit more definition and those types of things. Let me start at the very beginning here. So we started at this, right? And you look at these marks, and you're like, dear God. And I know this stage is so sometimes it's one of the most painful stages. You're just trying to get the ideas and get it all organized, and it's such a like, is it the right? And that's just my style. I mean, and the other side of it too is that you have some artists that they painstakingly are able to speed through this stage fairly quickly. I kind of linger in it. And you can see here's kind of that next stage. And some of these things, and like, for example, like this right here, his legs are just off. Something's wrong there, but we'll fix that. And I think we also need another person right here. This is not a kid. This looks too much figured to be more like a woman's body, which we want her. There's another character we'll be displaying here, but I want to show a kid right here. And kids are one of the hardest things to draw in the world. Just to have their proportions correct and everything. So this is what I did. I did it at this kind of small size. And you can see over here, I played around this captain character, playing with that different form. I will zoom into that because that's kind of a cool looking thing. Oops. I'm in the wrong screen here. Okay, so this, for example, we'll get there. Okay, this, for example, I just wanted to show this. This is I was like, oh, I gotta keep this for you guys. So one of the things is that when you are any kind of when you're drawing the human figure, and this is throughout the entire human figure, which is really kind of cool, just how we're made. Really an absolute masterpiece in terms of, and it's just any creature, like you can see this throughout nature, other things. But you have this sort of S shape taking right there. Let me bring in something. There we go. So you really have this sort of S shape kind of happening right there, right? And then you also, the other thing is when you have this, a lot of times what will happen is this and these are going to be opposites. So you have sort of a C, the real simplified version of that. And then it's going to, this shape will go into this next curve, which is right here. So the same thing happens. And so you can kind of see that where the arm does. This is not a colon. But hopefully that makes sense, right? Because this sort of, it's going to go back and forth. And the other thing is, a lot of times hair, this kind of same thing happens with hair. That's really messy, but you get the idea. So that's why I saved that. But I was playing with him to have him over there. I wanted him to be a bit more domineering, but it seemed more appropriate to have him pointing the gun at us. So that seemed kind of cool. I ended up keeping this, and we'll do some. And these would be sort of things where you jot down some ideas for later. We're going to make this more of like in a flag. Again, the last colony, that last stripe of the colonies, as this story does take place in the great state of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Let's see here. Beautiful state. Beautiful state. I've been there, I think about 4 times. Beautiful state. And of course, one of the cool things is we now have Google Earth and all sorts of fun things like that. So yeah, so this is really at this rough stage. I went on and let's get rid of that. So yeah, you can see here, trying all sorts of things, and I'm not liking it. Of course, you're like, oh, this is terribly messy, and it is messy. You go through these stages, and you're just trying to pull it out. There we go. That's kind of where I was like, okay, ended up anyway. So I tried Gwen here several times. The other thing I'll have off to the side is this is really what I was looking at as far as just like your hairstyles and those types of things. She's no, she I can't think of her name. If you guys come up with it, drop it in the comments. But basically, she was in the first Thor movie, I believe. She plays kind of FBI tattoo agent now in one of the shows she's playing in. Anyway, she's kind of a good looker. We need good looking women these days. It's okay to be good looking. So it's okay. That's kind of a buzz right now in the industry. Let's see what else we got here. You can see here, these are just other things. And these are basically, yeah, you can see I was kind of playing around with that. There's this guy. So these are just references to help kind of guide it through. And give us kind of reference point. This we grabbed, and you can see here, I flipped this actually from the original. This I grabbed off of ArtStation. So ArtStation's a really good place for all that type of stuff. Now I'll give you kind of a good place to start. Yeah, this is this little girl right here. I was kind of playing around with that. She has really super skinny legs. I want a little bit more. So I think this is from this is from a zombie game, I think. So looking at other art too, but in any case, that's kind of what I have going on there. So drop your comments. I'm just basically at this moment just going to start drawing, and you guys drop a comment or anything that you kind of comes to mind. And there we go. Okay. I have too many screens open with my art references. So yeah, there's quite a few of these. I have a whole nother page of these like military looking dudes. And you can see here where I wanted, like for this down here, wanted to get this a bit more exaggerated. I don't know. I'm playing with it. We'll get figured out here. Let's see here. I think what I was going to do is I was going to start off with good old Gwen here at the top. Play around with that a little bit more, get that figured out. The only thing is that I'm afraid is that she's a bit of a character that's in control, but she oh, have you seen the movie? Who is that with? Zoe Colombiana? I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of that character. She kind of plays that. Let's see here though. And again, this stage is still really messy. I should almost do this. I forgot all about that. I do like going back to this because it gets so messy, and you can easily get lost in your lines. And you can see here I've duplicated each one of these too, so I can always easily and quickly go back if I decide to, if I don't like something. This is a really cool. Sometimes you'll get like pencils or inks or those types of things, and they can bring it in, and this is how they do it. So you colorize it. There we go. Oh, I did want those ladies' hairstyles up. Yeah, these are all just grabbed off of Pinterest. We want that, right? Those are all examples. Absolutely. The not the late Sarah Connor, the original, the '80s version, right? Yeah, kind of go off of that, I think. I'm still trying to work fairly fast at this stage too. I don't. This is still in a lot of ways considered the rough stage. Let's turn my smoothing on. Smoothing is such a good thing. You can see that purple line or pink. That's clearly pink. Um, Other things that sometimes I'll look at is that looking at other artists like right, Adam Hughes, like looking at his work in particular when I'm doing some of this stuff. Um, his work on the feminine is quite excellent in representing that. I don't know how well I'm going to get this today or not. The other thing that's been going on is that I've been finishing up the inks for the Last Colony, so that's also really good news. I don't know. I might have to change her up quite a bit because I don't know if I like. I don't want it to be um, viewed too much as a sort of a portrait, if you will. In that sense, it is. But you can see here, for example, like some of the stuff. It's just these lines are like this line is way off, and you want so that's part of the game here. Um, for those that draw in ladies, um, to illustrate that, it usually the collarbone does this. Usually goes up Man, it's going to be a little bit differently. Right. So kind of be aware of those things, but and I'm just using these things as like just placement. And again, this is really messy. This is sometimes I'll do this too, where I'll actually be drawing it in blue pencil. Whatever the mood's in, right? You can also, not this quite stage do I mess with shadows. Usually I kind of hold off on some of that stuff. And then general locations. I'm gonna follow the outfit that we had for the cover. I'm just measuring right here too. So this is where you're gonna go for aiming to be a little bit more anatomically correct and trying to figure out where all the pieces are. So this would be where her nipple line would be. Trying to I don't know if I like that. And see, this is the other thing where you're gonna go into this stage and you're like, I don't know if this is working. So this is the time where all these types of mistakes are going to be made, and then I probably should have. I don't know. Do I have one out here? No, I don't. That's okay. I'll find that later. But this would be sort of a time where, like, I'd go into Pinterest or that type of thing, and you're not going to find the ideal. Um, you're not going to find the ideal example, but it can help you. Um, Figure out some things. I just don't know if I like it in this stage. Again, this is where you start refining. You start because some of these, like, I need to fix his legs here. This leg looks pretty stoked. He looks great. He looks great. So these are my two troublemakers. And you're gonna have them as you're just trying to problem solve. Let me go back. No, that's terrible. Oh, wait, what do you guys think of that? This. Bring out the other one. It's too. She's too. Oh, what's the word? She's too passive. We're here that more that, like you were saying, that Ridley. She's more in command here. The thing is I'm kind of wondering about this, and I'll have to kind of play with this a little bit. Is maybe making him a little bit bigger, because that would actually, I think that would actually put her. Let's measure real quick. That actually put her right there. Her chest. Yeah, I think that's the right move. We're gonna go to this one. Things happen. You just kind of keep going till you have it figured out. Let's see here. Also, the other thing I'll do at this stage, I'm actually going to try to work with a little bit bigger than normal brush size. I want that messy hair look too. Actually, I'm going to move this line down too. She will be doing some sweet, awesome things, but are still a little passive here for some of these other characters. Oh, that's the other thing. A lot of times, what I'll do is I will still go ahead and, even though a lot of these lines are going to overlap, and we won't necessarily see this part of her chest here, I still want to go ahead and draw some of it because I don't. This might be too much of a tangent, so it gives me room to, and I'll do those on different layers. So I'll put Gwen here on a different layer, so I can do some of those things. So we can go ahead and move them if need be. That way, it's no big deal per se. All right, that's really good. Oh, I think I like this a little bit better, guys and gals, and everybody else in between. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. We'll go with it. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna combine these two. Oh man, it's been a crazy week. I helped a family member move in and crashed last night. We got baseball season going with the kids. Holy moly. Things are off the charts right now. That's okay. Yeah, we get rid of that one. That's trash. Boom, 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 boom. We'll make her looking good here. Okay. I want a new layer. Because this will also be sort of a good time. This is one thing that's like really hard to maintaining consistency and coherency between all your characters so that they look like the same character from every different angle. It can be bit of a challenge sometimes. And it's not really a good angle of them, but we'll kind of go with it right now. I have over here, I have the cover up right now, which is what you see behind me. Yeah, because it's hard to see this guy, this guy over here. You can see this is why Photoshop's doing a lot of this, all this work on Photoshop is so much easier, so much faster. You can move things and change things as need be. Put his arm on a different layer, and then if I don't like that, then I can just being able to move around and change things up a little bit. Yeah, you can see how that's just going to run right into her, and we'll see. See, there's the other thing, just moving him aside just so I can figure out what the heck is going on here. There we go. Let's, here we are. I think that will be a little bit better. This also is where like your references can be such a huge thing, just to kind of guide you, because you're not going to know. It takes so long and just so much practice, and which is good. It should be that way. Where is he? So I had this up. Which that'll all be covered up, and we'll design that in a really cool way. So this is basically all I do at this stage. I mean, this is really about it. I'm very sorry, not very talkative right now. You know, you get it's just one of those things where you just I don't know, you just get to working, doing your thing, and the rest is the rest, right? There we are. There we go. Yeah, getting these little references in, you can spend so much time trying to figure everything out that you want to drop that shoulder a bit more. Cool. Gonna go with that for right now. Cool. We'll go with that for right now. Works great. Cool. So yeah, so I'll be working through this one, and I really appreciate everybody's kind words, enthusiasm, participating in this, that just in the live stream. Thank you for taking the time. You guys are absolutely awesome. We certainly couldn't do this without you in any form that you can participate in, right? I hope to, in the next couple days, that we should be fully funded as far as the 100% goes. And then we'll kind of go from there as far as different stretch goals or those sort of things. But this is like anything in life. We go at it with a learning attitude. We certainly don't have it all figured out, even though, you might have the right credentials, or I was a professor at such and such university, and those types of things. In the big scope of things, it really doesn't mean anything as long as you are continuing to push yourself and develop yourself in anything that you're currently doing. That's always a really cool and important thing. I think the other thing is that there is, of course, content that I haven't shown, that as far as like the comic book, I'm so excited to start showing that to you guys. And that we're really, if you think about it, we're just around the corner. That's going to happen so quickly. And these past 30 days have gone by so fast. It's gone by at such a looking at my mouse on the other stream. Things have moved by so quickly, and the time that we have is so incredibly precious. Not to be mixed with my precious, but you get what I'm saying there. You guys are awesome. I think that's it for today. I will certainly be working on this by next week. I hope to be on, the plan is anyway, I have to be on if we're going to have this finished by, so we can get this printed and everything. This will be at the tight spin pencil stage, or just under that tight pencil stage. So I'll do a little bit of tight pencil with you guys. I wanted to show you that. And then that goes on to inking, and then we'll go into coloring and all those sort of things. So I'm really excited about showing you each and every stage, as unglamorous as this looks now. And that's what it's all about. We have to go through those hard stages, right, to get things to a point where they look really, really good, and something that we're all proud of and excited for. So I think that's it for today. You guys are absolutely amazing and awesome. And we will, unless I can think of anything else, or unless someone has anything else, I think that's it. Share this far and wide. I know you guys already have been, but keep sharing this far and wide, as far as the web address down here. Share, all that sort of stuff. If you like that, like this video on YouTube, that certainly helps. But in the bigger scope of things, it's more about finding ways to directly support one another. That's what this is all about, 100%. That's the big thing here. So you guys are awesome. I hope you guys have an excellent weekend, and hope you guys have a, I'm still feel like I'm recovering from, I was about to say New Year's, but it's Memorial weekend. But no, you guys are awesome. And thank you to Aisha, and you guys have an excellent weekend. Come back here. We're going to have Dan Ekus with us next week. Just announce that again on this live stream. Have that posted on my website as well as on the YouTube channel, all that sort of good stuff. Look forward with that time with Dan, and we will catch you guys later. You guys are awesome. We'll see you guys. Bye.